Bishop, you there?
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kingdom Wealth Building Strategies. I am your co host, Bishop E. Edward Robinson II, and we have with us live and action. We got so much stuff going on. Our co host, who really is curator, if you would say, of the talent and the information that we bring on. And so we are excited and we are want to bring him in, Mr. Jason St. Patrick. Amen. The top tier real estate um, professional in New York and a global phenomenon through um, TV and all of those good things. Jason, all of those things. Welcome to the show. How are you today, sir?
Blessed as ever, Bishop. Thank you again for your surmounted titles that you give me. I love it. Couldn't couldn't have said anything better. uh, yeah, I'm grateful that I'm able to still be in your presence, be in front of your audience, and just share the information that I am able to absorb and just express in bite-sized pieces. So I'm really excited to just get into today's topic and just give a glimpse as to the immediate and after effects of what's been happening in real estate, especially through this pandemic.
I'm really excited to jump in on that. And so I want everybody, first of all, welcome everybody from Roku, welcome everybody from YouTube, welcome everybody from Apple TV, welcome everybody from Amazon TV, welcome everybody from the Go Judah app, welcome everybody that's on Facebook, and welcome everybody that's watching via our website at gojudah.com. I want you to take a quick moment and tag 10, 20, 30, I don't care how many people, at least 10 of them, but you can go up to 30, 40, 50, however high is the number you want. Tag them in. Let them know that Kingdom Wealth Building Strategies is on, and this concept, this broadcast is designed. The scripture that I kind of always quote to Jason is that I will above all things that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers. And so, as a preacher, I know that my main responsibility is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to you, but I want you to know that that gospel is not just about salvation from sin and the insurance that you're going to be wherever Jesus is when he returns, but it's also to let you know that the blessings that God has prepared for us, the wealth that God intends for us, and the lifestyle that God would love for us to have. And so we want to bring balance in this broadcast. I get so excited about it because it gives me the ability to bring balance to the message and to what we're bringing. Jason, I have a personal agenda to make sure that every
Yes.
congregant and well wisher is a homeowner on a multi level aspect. Um, yes, sir. Don't start clapping because I'm already in church. And you look like you in church. Them high windows, you got them cathedral high windows. So, we'll
I'm
do
gonna get
church.
them stained next week. No worries, Bishop.
Get them stained, Jason. Get them stained. you know, but it's important. And without giving you just a message of hope that God intends for you to have wealth and he wants you to have wealth, which is great message. This platform is to give you practical and methodical tools on how to acquire and most importantly to build wealth. So I think it was last year, about a month before, because now we're like in 13th month because we started maybe last year, April or March, April. So now we're in May. I reached out to Jason and I said, listen, there is an opportunity here that I can foresee because as we always say, millionaires are born in famines and depressions. If you're prepared for the opportunity, it really brings things down. We have never seen any type of support from the government like we're seeing right now, as far as with the stimulus and as far as with the infusion, and everything that's going on. So I said, hey, we need to see if we can collaborate and bring to my audience information that they can put into play. And I want to pause real quick, Jason, and say thank you so much, because you have um, introduced us to so many great people. You have introduced us to so much of good information that people are already using. People that you have introduced that are using them in their services, but the content and the information, people are using it to become wealthy and build wealth in their community. So again, I want to say thank you. Now, take us into this conversation in respect to what the real estate market looks like post pandemic. And with that, we'll lean into, for those that have property, what can they do to expand? And for those that don't have property, why is this such a great time to dive in? Take it away.
Excellent, Bishop. Thank you so much. And as I've mentioned before, I'm always honored to continue with my knowledge when it comes to the market, especially when it comes to real estate. One of the things that I also want to bring up was pretty much the pillars of real estate that I started off with last year. Some of the actual people we've had on the show have built out their business to a point where they can facilitate and make it a lot easier for people to get their groundings when it comes to getting started, even from scratch, on their journey to home ownership. One of them being Samantha O, who was a credit specialist. She now has an additional arm when it comes to the lending aspect of real estate, okay, which is very powerful, because when you're working with a credit specialist, that is the utmost first step you're going to be taking along your journey to just fixing everything up, putting your papers in a row to present to a bank. Now, when you have a credit specialist that is also expanding into the bank realm, you have someone that can put the bandage and the stitches where they need to be, and then facilitate the actual documentation that's going to give you the purchase power. There is nothing more powerful than having that dynamic duo pretty much combined into one specific organization that can guide you with the end goal in mind, which is going to be that pre-approval. Very powerful stuff. So, Bishop, I would definitely love to have Samantha back on the show in the future, just to express her journey and express this new development, because for a lot of our people in our audience, that's going to boost confidence and give more assurance when it comes to going to the pre-approval phase of the home ownership journey. Now, when it comes to the actual market itself, right now, because of all the chaos, because of I guess the unsurety of the market, the banks had to do something to really level out what's happening in terms of pretty much financing and making the purchase of property affordable. So what was one major step that happened, especially during this chaotic period, was that the banks started to reduce the annual interest rate that are associated with the loans that are being approved. What that means is, for the average buyer, they're now incentivized to purchase a property that's slightly above market value, because over the duration of the loan itself, it's going to be more affordable. Let's say in a more secure market where homes are not necessarily as high, banks tend to hike up the interest rate, because you're in a market where the houses themselves are very cheap, but there is also a cause and effect relationship with banks, where the prices might look like a steal, but unless you have a lot of cash to purchase those properties, you're going to be purchasing a cheaper home with a higher interest rate, which long term is going to be more expensive. So I know a lot of people are excited. They're looking forward to this
Wait,
huge sale.
hold on. Go back. 'Cause I just caught something. Did you just say that before pandemic, banks will hike up interest rates on houses that might be a lower value, but you wind up paying higher value or higher price for them because of the interest rate? Did you say that?
So what happens is, let's say everyone's fantasy happens, Bishop, where you have houses that look like a steal, right? The
Hmm.
market is so low when it comes to the valuations of a property, that it's below market value. When houses are in that specific market where the value of them are below the average of what they will be, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people that can take up those type of properties are cash buyers. Reason
Okay.
being is because when you are in a market where the general consensus is these houses are a hot fire sale, there's an inverse relationship when it comes to the interest rates that banks usually give out in those specific markets. You're going to have a very high interest rate. And let's say, even if you're shaving off $100,000 off of the average home, for the duration of what you're financing over the long term, you would end up spending more. So that's
Mm,
why in this current market, as we're seeing during and post pandemic, there's lots of buyers trying to take advantage of what is now a low interest rate market, because over the duration of their loan, it's going to be cheaper for
mm.
the purchase of that property.
Wow. Wow. First of all, thank you for bringing that information to us.
Yeah.
And would you say, because I know you're going somewhere, but it just hit me. Would you say that that means that in some of the low income communities where a lot of our black and brown brothers and sisters may reside, even though the property is lower in value because of the heightened interest rate, that might make it a little, at that time, it would have
It's an
made it
inverse
harder.
relationship. It's an inverse relationship. Right now, the market is quote unquote a seller's market, since properties on average are selling for higher. The inventory is scarce in certain areas, especially Long Island. I focus on New York, so I can speak for the New York market specifically. Um, in this market, it is considered a seller's market because, on the overall consensus, houses are lower in inventory and higher than above market standard regular market value on average right now. They are selling for a
Mm,
little bit higher, and there's less inventory, and there's more buyers shopping around. That being said, for someone even spending a little bit more for a property in this market, if they are utilizing a bank, they will still work out getting something cheaper than, let's say, they bought something that was $100,000 less in a market where the banks really hiked up the interest rate. Because when
mm,
you're looking at a steal, if you're only looking at the immediate attractive price range and you're not looking at your interest rate that you'll be financing, what's a steal today over the duration of your loan is not going to be a steal after you've paid 300,000 extra dollars compared to someone that just spent 50K extra upfront, and they had an interest rate that really just helped them shave that 200 or $300,000 over the duration of their loan.
wow. 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 Wow.
So
Okay.
that's like a very um, interesting thing, because there's lots of conversations about, I'm going to wait for a big drop, a big dip. for when the market's going to be a steal. And a lot of people aren't understanding, if that happens, 9 times out of 10, the interest rate is going to have an inverse effect, and banks are going to have to try to, recoup some of their losses, because if the market is taking a dip of that nature, so are the banks, and they have to secure and protect themselves as well.
Mm, okay. So this is, to a certain extent, to the cash buyer, a great opportunity. So that was before COVID. Now, a year plus into COVID, what does the market look like now for a new buyer? Is it
So
easier to obtain property?
right now, it is still a great time based on the interest rate to look and shop and purchase a property, because the interest rates are still at a historic low.
Mm,
We're looking, in that 3% range. It's actually been continuous through COVID with this interest rate. So there's lots of opportunity out there for someone trying to jump in. It's still a great time to try and find a property to acquire and take advantage of this low interest rate. I would say, Bishop. It's been balanced, it stayed steady throughout COVID. The only difference now is there is so much competition out there that it's imperative that anyone coming to the table really just do their best to have all of their paperwork, their pre-approval, and savings to really compete with what a lot of the other buyers are doing out there when it comes to specific locations. For example, Long Island, 20% down payment is becoming very common, if not higher, and individuals offering 50K over asking or even higher is becoming very common just because of the low inventory. So
mm.
I can honestly say in Long Island, um, a large majority of it is becoming a very, very aggressive seller's market. This is
Wow.
definitely a seller's market, especially in the Long Island area, hands down, no question about it. I had another colleague on my team selling a property where he had, in 24 hours, offers lined up down the road above asking, 24 hours. So it's really about your network right now, how you are positioning yourself in the beginning, what your savings look like when it comes to putting in offers and being very aggressive in that market. Um,
So let me go back a little bit. With before in a, and I'm focusing, and you probably know why, I'm focusing on the phrase low income community. Houses
yeah,
tend to be a little bit cheaper. But before, even in those low income communities where you may think that you're going to get a steal, the banks heightened up the interest rate. And so, unless you were buying cash, you will go into this and you will pay a lot more over time because of the interest. But now, interest rates are, and at a historic low, and it's been consistent at that low, 3% or
right.
under, right? So that means you have an opportunity to buy, quote, quote, a steal without the inverse interest rate hike up. Is that what I'm
If
hearing
if
so
you can
far?
if you can see it as a steal, because right now a
Well,
lot of people are looking at this market as, a really high market. Um, when properties are taking a drastic dip in price, where it just looks really, really cheap, and it's way, way below what the standard market value is for specific regions. um, and the banks are hiking up these interest rates and these qualifications. 9 times out of 10, the way you can take advantage of prices when they're 100K, let's say, for a number less than what the average market value would be for that home, is by utilizing cash. Now, for a lot of individuals that don't have 400, $500,000 worth of cash lying around, you're going to be relying on the bank, whether it be working with certain banks that have alternative finance programs. I know that we've mentioned some in the past, or
yeah.
trying to get grants to put towards the down payment with whatever it is you can get for financing from certain banks. One way or another, you're going to be still dependent on a majority of your financing coming from banks. And it's just about perception, whether you're waiting for a dip and understanding that dip is inversely going to have an effect with the interest rate banks are offering, or you can see the opportunity in the low interest rate now and take advantage of the properties being slightly higher over the long-term investment opportunity that you have. So even in what it doesn't, whatever community, it doesn't even differentiate right now, Bishop. The houses on a general consensus are going to go up just because of the fact that these banks with the low interest rates are incentivizing people on a general consensus to spend more.
So let me ask you this, because now you just made it clear. At one point, it would have been a quote, quote, steal, but because property values are going extremely higher than normal because of the low um, interest rate and because of the scarcity of inventory,
Inventory.
what would have been low is now higher. Um, but you still have the incentive of the interest rate being historically low. To the person who is just getting their feet into home ownership, is this a disadvantage for them? And if it is a
Absolutely not.
okay, why
Absolutely not.
isn't it a
It's
disadvantage?
it's not a disadvantage because this is the best time to really just leverage this interest rate. You know, for us, especially if you are a person that does not have the cash to purchase a property. If you have the cash to purchase the full price of a property, and this is your first time getting into this, then I can say, you know, all right, try and find those properties that might need a little bit of work, might not get the financing by the bank, but you can get for, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 less because you have the cash to buy that. When it comes to working with a bank, then trying to look for those pre-foreclosures that might not get approved by a bank, or, you know, those distressed properties that might fail the appraisal of a bank. um, you know, if you have the cash, then you can shave off 200,000 or 300,000. But if you're trying to look at those same properties and you're depending heavily on a bank financing route, it's going to be tough. And banks really don't like taking risks with certain pre-foreclosures or properties that have certain structural conditions that just disqualifies them from approving financing after an appraisal is done. Okay, and that's why it's very important, if it's your first time really shopping around, looking for properties, really just consult with individuals that can give you the end goal in mind. Because if it's your first time around, I don't know how many people are going to be thinking of a bank appraisal. I don't know how many
Mm,
people doing their first time around are going to be thinking about what are the qualifications to approve financing from a bank's perspective. There's a lot that
mm,
goes into it other than just saying I'm pre-approved for this amount, and this four-family home that's somehow selling for $500,000 is in my pre-approval limit. I want to go purchase it. If the
mm,
structure of that four-family does not qualify for the appraisal process of a bank, doesn't matter if it's underneath, it looks like a steal, the bank won't approve that process because structurally it is it's just not a secure process for them to finance. And that's just something that individuals looking for specific steals have to really just come down to earth and understand that you have to be cash heavy if something seems too good to be true. And especially if it's sitting on the market for a long period of time, 9 times out of 10, it's too good to be true because the bank won't finance it.
got it.
But if you're open to spending a little bit more on a property that structurally is sound, you can get it approved for financing, no questions asked, and you think about the long-term investment aspect of what you're doing, then you'll realize that you are going to be saving a lot more money just through the low interest rate route than you would be just trying to find a quick steal and have no idea what you'll end up getting yourself into once you realize, okay, there's a hole in the basement, and the structure of this building is going to collapse. And this was something that I didn't get an inspection on, and a bank didn't even appraise this, so I had no clue. I just threw the money at this house because I just saw the nice price point.
See, that goes back to what you taught us last year, building that team, having an expert real estate specialist. I put the specialist and expert on the same question. Having that credit specialist, having that relationship with a banker. You're right. So I think those are what was it? The real estate specialist, the credit specialist, and the bank specialist. Who else did we need? And a
Correct.
lawyer. And a
And you need
lawyer.
an attorney, especially in New York. It's an attorney state for any real estate transaction.
And a lawyer, right? So those four people will help grind you, bind, not ground you to say, hey, this is a good opportunity. Because basically, what I hear you saying is there's opportunity in any situation. It all depends on what your situation is. And having somebody on your team that knows what they're doing and knows
Right.
the ins and outs, it'll keep you from being burnt and help you sniff out those great opportunities that you, if you have cash but without the protection of the bank appraisal, because it's almost like if a bank don't want to finance it, a lot of times it might not be the best situation. But if you have a specialist, they can say, even though the bank doesn't want to take the risk on this, there is still good potential in it. But if the bank don't want to take a risk on it, there's a reason why. Like
Right. Exactly.
it's the reason why it's too good to be true. Um, Tell me what what advantages does this current market have on that new first time home buyer who might have been priced out of their own community or wasn't ready before, or the banking or the real estate, even with the high end? Because I have another question after this. Even with the high end real estate market value, why is this such a good time? And what advantages do this first time home buyer have in this climate that they didn't have before?
Well, you have this low interest rate. You can take advantage of that first and foremost, right? And when you're going into this market, depending on how you set yourself up, what your current financial situation is, you can also take advantage of, grants, anything that could facilitate you in getting into a property that might be a little bit bigger than, let's say, a property that you were trying to look at, but you weren't qualified for, in a market where the banks pretty much made the qualifications a lot more strict, and the interest rate just would price you out long term. So right now, you have the opportunity of a long term sale. Over the
Mm,
longevity of the ownership of the property, you will be spending less. That's the main thing right now when it comes to looking around for a property in this market. The challenge is just really finding the inventory in the locations that make sense for you, and you can see the opportunity long term for that purchase for yourself as a first time home buyer.
awesome. Well said. Well said. So interest rates, grants, a little bit more inclined from the banks to work with, because we've seen that with the Give Us Credit program and the different other things. All right. Now, you've been alluding to this before, and I want you to kind of dig in a little bit more with the fact that this is a seller's market. You were just mentioning how one of your colleagues had a property that's listed, and within a day have so many interests and bids on it, even beyond and above listing price. How, if somebody doesn't have a lot of personal cash, but has access to first time home buyers grants, I know you don't like this word, minority grants, particularly designed to so-called help us, get through. How do they leverage through grants, low interest rates, that competitive market of inventory? Whereas somebody else who is maybe an A class credit rating, who has money, that 20% that they can put down and go in. The FHA, they only require 3%. The SUNY may only require the 1% because they'll match it. How does somebody that is on these different programs become competitive in a market that is so saturated with buyers that you don't even have inventory?
So great question, Bishop. It is a challenging situation just because the competition is very fierce. There's no one way answer to this. It's really about the effort and dedication with trying to find inventory in those target areas that you're looking into purchasing that doesn't have a line around the door. Okay, so you have to get creative. One thing is for certain, you definitely have to look into different avenues, whether it be Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, just anywhere where you might be able to just gain direct access to for sale by owners that might not have their property advertised through MLS, on top of possibly working with agent that can find you opportunities that might not just be syndicated through Zillow or Trulia. So you can have that kind of advantage and get your foot in the door to still negotiate a reasonable deal on a property that isn't exposed to the masses. So it's
I
really
like
about
that.
how can you find properties that aren't exposed to the masses and structurally can still be approved by a bank for financing. And that's just the mindset you want to take when it comes to taking advantage of the low interest rate and trying to find the diamond in the rough for yourself and your family when there's so much competition going on right now.
Is that why you a top seller? Is that why you are a top real estate agent?
Listen, we get creative and it's about building out that network.
Mm,
With real estate and network go hand in hand. And when you're
mm,
able to build out that network with the people that create the houses, it just puts you in a different position to be able to help your clientele. And that's exactly what we want to do. I have a good friend I've known since elementary school, worked with our team. We were able to find a builder, get them access to a property before it was even built and before the builder was able to actually finalize a bill and advertise it, so that they could at least build a relationship with that individual and see the project from beginning to end, and then leverage and negotiate a deal before anybody else was even able to know about that because it wasn't a finished project yet. And those are the unique kind of opportunities you need to have in your corner, especially in this market where it's so competitive.
So the leverage is going to be legwork. The
The
leverage is
legwork.
going to, right? It's the legwork. It's like
Hmm.
you said, looking in unconventional places for houses to be on the market. I liked how you said Facebook market, social media market, going through the neighborhood and finding those for sale by owners that is not yet listed in that multi-listing service, not
or
in the real
or or
estate.
investors and developers, because you never know. There's lots of
Mm,
properties that they purchase with their cash, and they're doing all of the work to make it approved for financing by an end user. So if you're able to
mm.
connect with developers and investors, they can take the hard risk up front, and you're building your relationship with them so that you can still take advantage of your low interest rate on the back end.
You're not too churchy, but when we do stuff like this, that means that's good information. That means that's good information. That's a woo, Lordy.
I'm
Okay,
I'm gonna do my best to keep it
that
coming, Bishop.
it's more like a head tilt. You kind of shake the head.
Oh
All
man.
right. So relationships is king. This is another
Yes.
scenario where relationship is king. Okay, somebody who does not brush up against, they're not on a golf course, they're not in the country club, they're not wherever builders and investors are. Where can they find them to build relationship? How do they search them out? What have you done, or what can they do? Of course, connect with a real estate agent who is well connected.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yes.
Okay, what else can they
So
do?
what you'll find is there's lots of investors and developers that do have social media platforms. So if you're able to just quickly search on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, you'll be able to find investors in your neighborhood because they also want to build out a lead source for themselves, and they also utilize agents. A lot of investors do go to agents to find deals. Okay, and they depend on agents to find the deals so that they can then have a deal that they can work on and then flip so that they can make a profit. However, unless you yourself have the cash to do the project up front, this is not something that initially will be financed or approved by a bank for financing. So if you're able to connect with these developers, build a relationship with them, know what it is that fits the criteria of what you want to purchase for yourself, then you can have a timeline and also cut out competition through that personal relationship that you build with the developer and
So
investor
that you can have,
and finance it at the
hold
end.
on, so you can have a timeline.
And you can have that timeline ready for yourself. Yep.
So you're able to say, all right, I already know this is going to be a $500,000 house. And based upon that, I need XYZ. So I need to talk to my credit specialist. I need to talk to my lawyer. I need to talk to my real estate agent. Hey, check that out. See if this is doable. Credit specialist, what do I need to do? Finance, oh, that was another finance specialist, credit specialist, finance specialist, kind of the
Right.
same, but a little bit different. You told us him or that person as a separate person, a finance specialist that can really look at your finances and budget and see what's going on that ending. That was the fourth one that I could remember. But you have a timeline. You have a timeline. And what I love about what you're saying is build that relationship now early. Start to develop that concept early. And so by the time it does hit the market, you have already taken out the competition.
Exactly.
And it doesn't hurt
Exactly.
having that relationship with the builder and the developer early so that you can be like, can you put that faucet there? can you,
Well,
can you,
listen. I'm doing that with my close friends right now. They're literally they have the ability to build out their dream house, and there's no competition in the way. So it's powerful. But again, this is a strategy or legwork that you can do on your own. But again, I have developers and investors reaching out to me every single day of the week looking for deals. I have investors that have projects right now where they're reaching out to me looking for an end user. So it's just that's the value
define
of
that word end user?
a person that is looking for a property that can be financed,
Okay,
that
so
can
that's
be
an
you
end
can utilize.
user.
That is an end user. It's a person that's not coming in there with all cash. A person that can come in the door with all cash, 9 times out of 10 is an investor. That's a person that's
So
looking for something that they can dump all their money in and then see some return on investment immediately.
investor, end user. End user is someone,
Correct.
not just somebody who wants to buy the house, but somebody that would need financing to buy the house. That's an end user.
But
Okay,
however, there are some people that are they know how to leverage the bank to take out a construction loan as well so that they can do additional repairs to it. But again, you have to find a property that the bank will be willing to approve for financing based on its current condition that it's in. So it's just a little caveat when it comes to that in the beginning.
and this is why it's important to have experts in the field because they can tell you right off the bat that ain't gonna happen unless we
Exactly.
address this. All right, two more questions. Question number one: with this seller's market price going through the roof, do we foresee a price bubble in the foreseeable future? And then how will that affect those who just purchased? Because I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you remember 2008, 2009,
Yep.
whenever the bubble hit, prices were at an all-time high. People got it. And then within that year, house market plummeted. And so now people have upside down situations. Now, with interest rates being low, that might, help better taking that blow. But what do you see as a real estate professional, how this is going to run?
Um, it's tricky because what happened in 2008 was a ridiculous buildup of just really bad decision making when it came to financing. You had stuff called subprime loans where they were just handing out loans. If you had a job, great. It didn't really matter what your income was at that job. You would get approved to finance something that was $400,000, even if you just you know you had a part-time job, for instance, and you can put on paper that you ran operations for a major facility. It was just very messy, and a lot of people that did not have an income to support the loan were still being pre-approved. I definitely see that additional security measures are taken this time around. So even if there is to be a bubble, it's not going to be the same effect as, let's say, what happened in 2008. The only difference, the major difference between 2008 and this specific scenario is more so on the commercial side. Yes, there is a lot of issues with employment, and the city is taking a lot of measures. I can only speak for the New York market, where it comes to trying to buffer that the rental market as well, to assist with the shortage of income. But in terms of these same type of loans being handed out left, right, and center, I don't see that being an issue this time around. So I don't necessarily seeing that same major drop in the market happening. There might be a dip, but in terms of an all-out crash, as what happened in 2008, I don't think we're going to be at that point, or we're going to see something that major this time around.
So what you're saying is that even though they're similar in the aspect of prices of the houses going high and the seller's market,
There's going to
because
be a drop. It's not going to be as major as
not
2008.
a major, because the foundation of 2008's drop was basically just bad business, period.
It was
You know,
just real bad business.
subprime loans. In this, the prices are, and correct me if I'm wrong with my verbiage, but it's organically rising because of supply and demand, and not because
Exactly.
of subprime loan giving. Does that make sense?
Exactly. And that's just the nature of real estate. There can be all
That's the
this
nature of
chaos happening
commerce.
in the world. There can be all this chaos happening in the world, but when it comes to real estate, it's three or four fairly simple factors: supply, demand, bank evaluation of loans, and pretty much the amount of people that are actively looking in that specific area, which still ties back into the demand. So um, regardless of what's happening on in the world, there's still going to be people looking at opportunities based on whether or not it's a cash focused market or a finance focused market. Right now, since it's more on the finance focused market, there is incentive through the competition, through the low interest rate, for homeowners to sell their homes for slightly above market value. If it's a more cash focused market, that means that the properties are obviously on the lower end of the valuation spectrum, and this is going to be advantageous for individuals that have the cash option to purchase outright the property, so that they can really just get the deal, or steal, as you want to call it, and not have to pay an arm and a leg for a exorbitant interest rate long term.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start to wrap up. I want to kind of recap something that you taught us. I want to make sure I got it right because I've been preaching it like Matthew 2 and 2. I get it. You bet. Okay, whatever. Then I want to give us a forecast of what we can expect from this season on Kingdom Wealth Building Strategies. Number one, I am when somebody asks me about, oh, Bishop, what do I need to do to buy a house or how do I step into house buying? I give them those 4 steps that you gave us as far as not buying your dream house first.
Correct.
Getting that legal 4 dwelling unit, staying in one, renting out the three. Then in a year or so, refinance that, keep it, refinance it, come out of the FHA, go into a conventional,
And and
go
and,
into a,
and right now, Bishop, if someone does own a multifamily or even if it's a single family, it doesn't this is the market to refinance that property in. This is the
this is
market
the
where
market. So if
this
they
is the
did what
market
you
to
said last
refinance.
year, do it right now. Do it now,
if you can, this would be the
right?
market to refinance.
Because then you can probably pull cash out to do a cash only buy or cash, whatever. But okay, so then you come out of not come out, you come out of that particular loan, refinance out of that, go into a 3 bedroom house, keeping your 4, go into a 3 family unit or 3 unit or 3 family housing unit, stay in 1 unit, rent out the other 2. Then in about a year or so, refinance that, maintaining those properties, go into a 2 family unit, stay in one, rent out the other, and then go into your dream house, which at this point you probably could pay all cash for it. But when you go into
Right.
that dream house, you refinance that one last time or whatever. Don't start at the dream house because with the FHA and those other supporting loans for first time home buyers or low income or black and brown. I'm not going to use the word minority uh, community loans. It's hard to go from 1 dwelling to a 4 dwelling with those type of loans. So from what you taught us, it is easier to go from the 4 and work your way down. And this way, by the time you get to that 5th home, you have somewhat of a real estate empire and you
And
have
and
income coming in. Go ahead.
and Bishop, and what's important is the network that you surround yourself with. Now, when I initially mentioned the credit specialist, that's a person that you want to go back to several times throughout this process. When you start your home ownership process, and then when you're looking into your second property and you want to build out that portfolio, because that person, if they're like the person that I know, they help in several steps. The first step will be to really fix that credit. The second step will be then, okay, you have this house, you have proof of income. Let's set up an LLC to protect your assets, and then also show to this specific bank that you can handle financing and even get an additional way to extract more money for your future purchases. And that's where that person's going to be very, very crucial in your process to building out a portfolio.
Build a team, and the team will help you build the wealth. And what I love
And,
about all of this is hire a property manager. I think you told us that because we're not in the business of managing property. We're investors,
right.
or owners. Hire a property manager so that this becomes passive income and remember, wealth building. So now when you want to start your business, you have collateral to be able to pull $100,000, $200,000 out to launch your business the right way and be able to focus
Right.
on the business instead of trying to make ends meet and work part-time on your business while you work full-time on somebody else's dream. So I just wanted to make sure I got those steps right. But I think what you wanted me to infuse in there, build that team, get that credit
Yes.
specialist, get that real estate agent, get that lawyer, and let them know this is my end goal. When I finish with this next 5 to 10 years, this is how many properties I want to have. This is what I want to be doing. And that doesn't have to be your main squeeze. This is what I'm trying to
No, it
tell
does not.
people. that can just be what it is and what it was and who
And
it
your team
is.
will help you take care of everything. You don't have to know everything. That's the beauty of
You're getting another head shake. You don't have to.
it.
You don't have to know everything. All right, we got 7 minutes. Give us a rundown on what the rest of May looks like on Kingdom Wealth Building Strategies.
So the rest of May, we're gonna have an excellent guest stepping up to the plate next week by the name of Garon. Great person. He's gonna come in with a different approach. We're really gonna take it to a more spiritual and just, I guess, cultural awareness path for that specific session. We're gonna be talking about everything from food to art and just mental health and workshops that he has planned for our community and just doing things that can bring apart other aspects of daily life that we should just put a little bit of time and attention towards because it is valuable for the longevity of just living. So I think that's going to be a powerful, phenomenal topic. After Garon, we're going to have someone from the financial district that really knows what money management is. And I think we can never stop talking about money management. It's crucial, it's pivotal. And this person has handled around $1 billion worth of assets. So
How
he knows a
much,
thing or two.
Jason? How much, sir?
$1 billion worth of assets in the Wall Street sector. So he knows a
That
thing or
doesn't get
two
a head
about,
shake. That don't get a
you
head shake.
know,
That just get a stink face.
he knows a thing or two about what's happening and what people do to really think at that level when it comes to finances. So I think that's going to be a great conversation as well. And then going into June, we're going to keep it there. We just going to keep it from there.
Just stay tuned for June. But right
Just
now
stay
we
tuned.
in May.
Exactly.
So I love it. Once again, thank you so much, Jason, for bringing such a great wealth of information on. And I never wanted this to just be a dream show. I wanted this to be a strategic line upon line, precept upon precept, so that the person watching can go back. You know how many people I hear, I went back and watched this and got this. Just so
Yes.
you all know, this started out as an Instagram live. Then we went to the Zoom and then we went to Facebook. Now we're on 8 different platforms. And through our GoJuda app, that if you go ahead and download it and stop playing games, uh, through the GoJuda app, you'll be able to get a catalog of all of the shows, especially from this season and going
What?
ongoing. They're in the process of digitizing the all the other shows, categorizing it so that you can click finance, you can click real estate, you can click grants, and be able to have all of that information at your fingertips right on your apps, whether it's Droid, the Green Monster, or the Apple or on Roku TV or Amazon TV, Apple TV, anywhere streaming is available, you'll be able to go in and pull that piece of information out, rehearse it, relive it, and apply it to your life. So please be a part of it. We might not have, and that's why we might not have as many live viewers because a lot of people are not watching directly from the app or from their
Nice.
favorite platform. So we never let the numbers discourage us because we're helping somebody and we're building wealth. And that's what it's about. I want these conversations to be normal. I want
Yeah.
these conversations, Jason, to be normal conversations. This is what we talk about. We
Yes.
talk about what do we project the market to be and how to leverage the current market with our plan of wealth building and what are we going to leave the next generation. This is the conversation, not just, oh, did you see what he had on? They look nice. Oh, you got new shoes. No, I just bought a new building. How about that? How about how
I'm
about
still Bishop. I'm still looking for somebody to discuss that cryptocurrency piece because I think that topic right there.
that's a needed.
Um,
That's a needed.
I'm
You got to go to work. You got to go find them. You got to go
gonna
find your
find
next.
them.
Because we need it. Because I'm seeing that like crazy between Bitcoin, Doggy Con, Donkey Con, you know, Super Mario. When I hear Bitcoin, or cryptocurrency, I hear Super Mario Brothers. Remember, you had to go up and get the things, ding, ding,
Right,
ding,
right,
ding, you
right.
know. But that's important because we cannot be the last to know.
Yes.
Whoever is the last to know will pay the most. We got to
Amen.
get this stuff in the beginning, and we have to have money that we can invest so that if it don't go what we thought it would go, we're not losing our homes. But we gotta be a part of the conversation. We gotta direct the conversation. So yes, I agree with you that Bitcoin is important to be a part of this wealth building. I want to thank you, Jason, for your time, your energy, your positivity and
Thank
input.
you, Bishop.
Give us our closing marks and let us go home.
Bishop, thank you. And I'm just here to give whatever I can of myself to a greater cause. Um, that's pretty much it. Anything I know is fair knowledge for everyone else. So feel free to reach out to me, reach out to the bishop. Anyone that has access to the bishop has access to me equally. Don't hesitate to reach out to me through social media. I'm plastered all over the bishop's place, space. So by all means, I mean, I can always share my number again, but I'm easy to speak to. I'm easy to approach. So any questions anyone may have, it'll be my honor to answer. And that's pretty much it for today, Bishop.
Thank you. You see, I got my money bow tie on. I wanted to look like I wanted to look like money. All right. God bless you all. Have a great day. Once again, thank you for your time and attention. You gave us time that you can never get back, and we hope that it was worth your investment that in your path of wealth building. See you next week, same time, same station. Tell a friend, tell someone. And if you all, whatever platform that you watch from, can you do me a favor? Can you screen record about a good 30, 60 seconds of your most favorable moment of the show? And then put it on your Instagram and put it on your Facebook story and tag Jason and I. We'll come back here and type in our hashtags and our tags. Mine's is very easy: the Preaching Prophet or Go Judah. And then we'll be able to pick it up and share it because that helps us to get the message out. We want more people to be able to watch these type of content that will in turn build our community. And so you can play a major part in that. We're not charging you anything. We're just asking, can you help us get the message out so that our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters, moms, uncles, dads, and fathers can see that wealth building is a major possibility, especially if you have a strategy. God bless you and have a good week.
Amen. God bless, Bishop.
Bless you, man. All right.
Thank
Well,
you. Take care.
you too. Let's see.